where's the other mic? You must have the other mic. Oh, right there. Can I? I'm going to borrow the other mic. Then I'll bring it right back. And then I'll bring it right back.
Is my mic on? Oh, it is.
Oh, my God. Oh, oh.
Did someone say they like my hair? Thank you.
I have never accused Alberto of being a mic hog. But you are now. You've proven it. And first of all, thank you so much for Alberto for coming. He just came back from a month from being in Italy.
Oh, beautiful.
Family.
Wow.
And it's good that we missed you. We missed you a lot. Thank you for being here with us today. And you know what? I'll just announce this right up front.
Yeah.
I am Reverend Pam Gagan from the Center for Spiritual Living, and
I'm Susan Elizabeth Espinosa for Camarillo Center for Spiritual Living.
And the reason Reverend Kristen isn't here is because she's protecting all of us. Someone in her circle tested positive for COVID, and so she is taking time she doesn't have COVID, she's doing well, but she's taking time to ensure that all of us are fine, and I'm for it. That's all I can say at this point.
So you get me up here today.
Yeah, we've got, and I should share, Alberto's with us, Buzz is with us, Marcia's with us, Kathleen is with us from the other center, yay! And Susan is with us,
Yay!
Which is wonderful, wonderful to have you. Have you all in family, as I say.
That's
here.
exactly it, right?
Yeah,
that is
it's
it.
one
yes.
family.
One
here.
family.
Yeah, this is great. So when we begin, I would like to share who we are as we begin. Please enjoy. This is Centers for Spiritual Living, Pleasant Valley. And this is who CSL is. Susan's going to introduce us. Any day now. I shall be released. No. Oh, no, it's Susan's, it's CSL's vision.
And your video is very inspiring, by the way. Yeah, it's
Thank
really
you,
lovely.
honey.
Yeah.
Thank you very, very much. So this is what Kristen has sent over to inspire us.
I am prepared to
from
read if
CSL.
we need to. We love technology. I've been in charge of so much of the technology, and I always do a little prayer over it because it serves us.
This is you.
This is us, Center for Spiritual Living, Camarillo. We live, we love, and we do.
Yay, I
Yes,
like that.
thank
Yay,
you.
thank you. And how we do our mission here at the Center for... Oh, here. Susan, this is you.
Thank you. I was looking there. So we are here at the Camarillo Center for Spiritual Living to joyfully reveal the love and oneness of God. Our purpose is to love, inspire, and serve our community and the world through education, music. Music, love the music part. Prayer and play. I have to say that play part, when I first came to the center, was the thing that made me know I have found home. And so I love that we all together laughing and enjoying one another each service. It really has been a blessing to come together. Love and laughter and playfulness.
Oh, this is great.
It's really warmed my heart.
Oh, And your presence is warming our hearts, to all of you who are joining us on Sundays. And our greater vision, along with CSL's vision, is awakening humanity to its spiritual magnificence. And how we do this is teaching and demonstrating spiritual principles of living an abundant and fulfilling life in a welcoming, compassionate, playful community.
Ooh, yeah.
Added playful.
Thank you. That's awesome.
Playful in there. And so now it is my honor to bring up Kathleen, our practitioner from CSL, as Susan and Kathleen do the candles of faith.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. How great it is to be here. My name's Kathleen Benjamin, and I'm a licensed practitioner with Centers for Spiritual Living. Here at the Camarillo Center for Spiritual Living, we are actively co-creating a world that evolves through the power of service, prayer, and play, a world that works for everyone. We celebrate all paths that lead to the recognition of the divine. We honor shamanism as a path of the inward journey and soul travel. We honor Hinduism as a path recognizing the divine in each person. We honor Judaism as a path of law. We honor Taoism as a path recognizing the perfect order and balance of the universe. We honor Buddhism as a path of compassion and peace. We honor Christianity as a path of love and forgiveness. We honor Islam as a path of constant prayer. We honor Baha'i as a path recognizing the oneness of all religions. We honor New Thought as a path of healing and the power of the mind. And we honor each of you and what brought you here today. Because we have no idea what we're doing here. We do have a great idea. These girls have stepped up so incredibly and doing all the roles for CSL. Thank you so much. And so on this morning, I am so lucky to read Reverend Betty Ann's quote. And for those who don't know, Reverend Betty Ann not only had her own center in Oxnard for years, but she was our assistant minister for many, many years. And so together we can read this out in Facebook land and here. Today, I choose to focus spiritual perfection out picturing as moments of happiness, love, and wonder. I am willing to express God in every area of my life. And now what we're going to do is, I need to tell you what we're doing. So we are introducing Daniel Namod, and it's a song that Dr. Sue requested, and it's Water by Daniel Namod in honor of her talk. And before we even begin, happy Memorial Day. We honor all of those who have stepped up in their integrity and their nobility to not only help and create that world that works for everybody, for a higher cause, in our military and our doctors, our nurses, our teachers. And we hold all those who need a prayer in our hearts today throughout our whole service, including Texas and the Ukraine. But in that vision of making a world work for everyone, we honor all of you that we stand on the shoulders of. So we just remember, least we forget, and we always remember.
And so here we are with a song that Reverend Dr. Sue requested, Water.
I've seen my share of struggle, but I thought that I knew best. When I sailed through the storm, said to stop and rest. And it always seems the hardest when I made up my stubborn mind. I'm changing my ways this time. Wanna be like water, come down a mountain in the shadowy canyons, from the pool to stream. Wanna be like water, ever feel no more crying loud for the sea. Have you ever seen an eagle that straight to the wind? Doesn't make it fine, spreads its wings and just stands in. And in the end it always makes it home just fine. Yes, he knows that every storm subsides. Wanna be like water, come down a mountain in shadowy canyons, flowing from pool to stream. Wanna be like water, and feel no more crying loud for the sea. I'll let nature take its course. No more thinking that I know where this river's meant to go. I've reeled against the stars for the cards that I've been dealt, for the lottery I never won, the heartache that I felt. But it only seems when I let go, hesitation and regret. Life has plenty of surprises for me yet. I wanna be like water, coming down a mountain in the shadowy canyons, flowing from pool to stream. Wanna be like water, never feel no more crying loud for the sea. Wanna be like water, coming down a mountain in the shadowy canyons, flowing from pool to stream. Wanna be like water, never feel no more crying loud for the sea.
Well, good morning, everyone. And it appears that once again, Alberto has the mic, so I'm using this one. And here we are. I'm Pamela Bailey. I'm one of the practitioners here, and we're having fun pulling this together with different ways of having done services. So this is a wonderful adventure here. And Pam said, well, you can do one quote before the opening affirmative prayer. And I was listening to this talk last week, and it was fabulous. And one of the things, I have a lot of, oh, thank you. Yeah, I don't know, there was a lot of feedback there. So this woman was talking about having taken flying lessons, and so she had gotten to the point where she was soloing and everything was wonderful. And then it was time for her to do a stall, which I guess, I'm not a pilot, but I guess that's a big deal in your training as a pilot. So she's doing it and it's going really well, except then she goes into a spin and she's going tighter and tighter in this spin and faster downhill. And it's like, or not, down toward the ground. It's like, what am I going to do? And she tried this and she tried that, and none of it was working. And finally, let go of the controls. That's the message. When you're in a spin, let go of the controls. So that's my quote for the day. So thank you. And so now, if you would please join me in an affirmative prayer to keep the service moving along in a wonderful way. And those of you out in Facebook land, we're delighted to have you with us. So if you would please just join me. Here in this moment, on this beautiful spring day and on this holiday weekend of remembering those who have served and those who have given the ultimate gift. And here we are, blessed to be together in this beautiful place together and looking at life and how life is. And it comes up and down, high tide and low tide. And as we are here this moment, remembering that for each of us, it may be high or low tide, and just recognizing that God is all there is, and that person who's elated or that person who's beaten down, there too is the face of God. And so as I know that there is just that one life, that life is fully expressed right here, right now, in me and in each and every one present here, for we are all part of that one life. And so today we celebrate coming together, we celebrate coming together and blending the different ways of having our services here in a Center for Spiritual Living. But most of all, we celebrate that we are here and life is right where we are. And as human beings with the divine spark, that there is that opportunity each moment to choose anew, and to be fully present, be it in sadness, be it in joy, be it in celebration, be it in mourning, whatever it is, to be fully present and experiencing all that life has. For that is our journey here on this planet. That is our opportunity to be human, and to be human in the deepest and highest sense. So today, I am so grateful for each and every person here contributing to the service as we bring things together and bring each and every one present and bring the best of what we have. And always open at the top, as our founder said, open to the greater, to the new, and to that which creates more love, more harmony, more peace, more light. And in that attitude of gratitude for all of that, I release this treatment, knowing it is already unfolding. And so it is. Yes, and now our next thing is, da-da-da-da, what's the buzz? Here's what's a-happening. What's the buzz? Here's what's
happening. What's the buzz? Tell me what's a-happening. My name's Buzz. Here's what's a-happening today. Our centers here together. The union we both have with God is bringing us some delightful weather. And we will all celebrate Memorial Day tomorrow. Let's give our service members joy and get past our sorrow. Our lesson for today will be given by our beloved Dr. Sue. Low Tide or High Tide is the title she will soon deliver to you. I'm sure you're all excited to hear what Dr. Sue has to say. And for now, here I am to share the announcements for today. Coming up this Tuesday, which is the last day of May, a new uniting project will make perfect your day. It is a speed dating session from 6 to 7 p.m. on Tuesday night. This wonderful live Zoom gathering will help our two centers unite. The Zoom link we'll use is listed right here, so please do join in and together we'll cheer. At 7 p.m. Thursdays on Facebook Live, our midweek spiritual uplift will boost your divine drive. Savina Altanova will be the host for this week's session. Self-Love is the title for her uplifting lesson. A new music event happens next Sunday up in Ojai. This sonic meditation concert will help your spirit rise high. It takes place Sunday evening from 5 p.m. until 8, and if you can attend, it will make your life great. Linda Arnold and Andrea Brooke will be playing together live. There's a small charge, but in dollars it's just $25. And we are continuing with the 2-for-1 sale going on in our bookstore. It remains incredibly well stacked with fantastic things galore. There are lots of books and jewelry in stock that will give your life much glee. And once again today, when you buy something you want, you get something else for free. And do keep in mind that our center is here for you. Please let us know what we can do. The spiritual treatment that we provide will reveal your perfection and allow you to thrive. You can always leave a request by phone, or you can send us an email from wherever you roam. And we are excited to once again be able to gather here live in our center, still dedicated to help us all thrive. Your loving donations keep our center going, so we can be here to keep your wellness flowing. Later we will list the online ways to give, so please do donate from wherever you live. And two other places where you can lend a hand. Please do give them whatever you can. Ventura County Rescue Mission provides the homeless with much good, and the Ventura County Food Share feeds the needy in our hood. And a reminder that our center is part of Ralph's Community Contribution Program. A portion of whatever you spend at the store gives our center a small donation or more. Please do sign up or simply renew, and Ralph's will contribute at no cost to you. Our center's code number is JE859. You can sign up at the store, or you can do it online. And another way to help our center for a while is to shop online using Amazon Smile. When you complete your purchase for the items you got, it will donate to our center right on the spot. And finally, today is the last Sunday of the month of May, so take time to have fun and enjoy your day. And what would you call who are sharing an Amazon account? Primates. All right, thank you all for listening.
Well, I used to dream out loud. Just being human made me proud. Now I throw my hands up in the air from disillusion and despair. My heart has taken such abuse. I've used my hurt as my excuse. It's like my hope has disappeared behind the shadow of my fear. And I wonder when I stop believing right will win. Then I remember I am only one. I am not alone. I don't need to do everything, no. I can right one wrong. I can sing one song. I don't need to do everything. It's time to dive back in. Yeah, it's time to live again. I am unjaded. What if you have to fall to grow? I've fallen hard enough to know. So what if life's not fair? It doesn't mean that I'm too cool to care. And I wonder when I stop believing right will win. Then I remember I am only one. I am not alone. I don't need to do everything, no. I can right one wrong. I can sing one song. I don't need to do everything. It's time to dive back in. Yeah, it's time to live again. Unjaded. What kind of life would I live with my heart closed? What kind of man would I be? What kind of world will I be creating if I can't love with all of me? If I just love with all of me? So I am only one. I am not alone. I don't need to do everything on my own. I can write
It is my honor to introduce Kathleen. What's your last name?
Benjamin.
Kathleen Benjamin from CCSL as our practitioner of the day. Yay!
I just want to, this morning is so powerful. And you know, there's a vibrational frequency that's happening in this room right now. And it's so much love. And there's something that's instant love that I have with Alberto. It's kind of amazing. I was like, what's going on with this dewy, fresh musician? Something's going on here. So I'm going to just sing a verse from a song just to center myself because I am everywhere. And I'd like you to join me, and I'll read a quote and then I'll go into prayer. The breath of God is breathing me, and resting in the breath of God, I know that all is well. So how grateful I am to be here with you today. And our theme of the month is Living Everyday Wonder, Emotions. And I love that video, water. That's where I want to be with my emotions, just flowing like water. So the quote that I have for you today is, the way through sadness and grief that comes from great loss is to use it as a motivation and generate a deeper sense of purpose. That's from the Dalai Lama and Desmond Tutu. That's so expansive. When I think about that, I don't know how that lands with you, but it reminds me that when we ground ourselves in principle, no matter what the situation, we can still expand. So join me as we turn within. How grateful and thankful I am for this new moment that has never happened before. This vibrant, fresh unfolding of the presence of God. And as we said in our faith tradition, we honor all faiths, whether it's Buddha, Yahweh, Jesus Christ, Muhammad, Bhagavan Krishna, or whoever you worship, Mother, Father, God, the saints of all religions. We know that there is one power and one presence that is everywhere. It is our source and our resource. It is the unified field of awareness that we are all in. And so as we lean into this unified field of awareness, we do so and fall into divine alignment with that one presence that is joy, love, power, and peace. I send out a mighty blessing for those involved in these mass shootings. And we take these individuals in this quote unquote situation and we wrap it in love because we trust in God always, always, and in all ways, knowing that God is on the field even now. So we rest in knowing that the expanding presence of God is happening in this situation and in this moment as our lives. We allow ourselves to be open and receptive to experience in even more love, even more joy, even more God. And I send out a mighty blessing as we listen to this message unfold and enlighten us as our minister comes forward. I stand in divine gratitude for this moment, for this joy, for this unfolding goodness. And I know that it is already done in the mind of God. And so it is. Amen, amen, ashe.
Powerful. And here's our beloved. We've all straight from Italy. Do you want to talk or did you?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, well, I'll do it this way. Yes. Welcome home, beloved.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, and good morning. And good morning, Dr. Reverend Sue. And good morning, Kathleen. It's the first time I meet you. As you know, I just came back from Italy, and I thought today I would play a song that it's kind of, in my mind at least, is appropriate for the Memorial Day that we're all gonna celebrate tomorrow. And it's about a lost life, but at the same time, it's about the love that binds us together, and therefore, nobody is ever gone. It's always in our heart. And that's called love, and which is the force that moves the earth and every planet. So here we go with this Irish song for a change. And it's an Irish ballad, and it's called The Mountains of Pomeroy.
Well, I'm in tears now, thanks. And I'm Dr. Sue's roadie. I'm wiping her mic. I don't want her to have any germs on her, for God's sake. Not that we're germy. Here you go, doctors. Ta-da! There you go. I'll go this
Thank
way.
you. Thank you. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Wow. Kathleen. All right. Everyone participating and welcoming the newness. It's just an experience that we all deserve. I mean, when it all comes down to it, you don't need me to remind you of the way of the world right now. We're very much aware of it. And so the request that I made for that song from Daniel Nahmart, move away from the blue line. That song, I want to be like water. And it really describes the way of our journey, the pathways to freedom that we're all hungry for right now. And even though some of it, or a lot of it, gets masked by the anger and the fear and the divisiveness and the violence that hurts our very hearts, yet that is the optimal divine experience of what it means to be human. To know that we walk this pathway that is such a fine line that apparently divides the human and the divine, and yet we're here to eradicate that gap and to truly draw more deeply into the divinity that we are. Because the question that really arises on the other side of that statement is, what if we don't? We all know what it looks like if we don't. And so to be like water is to know that wherever it's flowing from and wherever it's going to, it's headed for the sea. It's headed for the larger perception of its own life. And therefore the struggle is not in the water, it's in our human capacity to choose to either make life more difficult or to make it easier for ourselves. So if I want to be like water, you know, water, in the metaphysical definition of water, if any of you like studying the metaphysical interpretation of the Bible, oh my, yeah, it's great to really pull apart the literal and to see what the inner meaning is. Water is that which is in subjective mind, not yet fully expressed. So the times you and I have experienced leaks in our home, do you ever have a leak in your home? Just stand back and gratefully say, this is just the unborn yet greater aspects of my own self coming into fruition. And as it flows in, so it flows out. The only thing is, when you're human, you've got to stand in the middle and say, plumber, help. So if we can approach our lives, though, in a way of deepening our practices, if any of you read Science of Mind magazine, remember Creative Thought magazine? Oh, so beautiful. Just straight spiritual mind treatments. In Science of Mind this month, dealing with emotions, that flow of sometimes what we are very much aware of and other times clueless. We're just reactive to a condition or a circumstance. And yet behind all of that is a perfect cause. And yet how do we find that perfect cause in the distress that we're all feeling? It's through our spiritual practices. So in the magazine this month, Dr. David Alt, a wonderful minister, formerly from the Atlanta Center, but now he has created a school somewhere in the East and the far East. And he raised the question. They were promoting a seminar that I believe is taking place in Geneva sometime this summer. And he asked, how do we more deeply get into our spiritual practices in order to see beyond appearances? How is it possible? Because I don't know about you, but I know for myself, doing my spiritual practices is not as easy as it used to be. My mind wanders more. I'm far more easily distracted. And yet we know the very foundation of what the practices involve is meditation, mindfulness, and affirmative prayer or spiritual mind treatment. That phrase, I think, bewilders some, and yet those of us who have been around a while, I get it, that what I'm doing is I'm treating my mind, the monkey that's jumping from tree to tree looking for the bananas. I'm treating my mind to the spiritual truth of who it is, who I am, what my body is. It's the temple of God. My mind is the mind of God, individualized as me. My entire being is a construct out of the mind of God, designed to be the instrument, the pathway from which the invisible becomes the visible. And yet how easy it is to forget. I discovered a new, more familiar term, and it's called entrainment. You know about entrainment in the physical sciences. It deals a lot with bringing systems, particularly energy systems, brain systems, into compatibility. And the person who describes it so beautifully is a lovely teacher called Tara Brach. Anybody familiar with her? Just so reassuring and quiet and loving, and yet packs a wallop with teaching truth principles. And so entrainment is what we do every time I pause and allow my spiritual sense of things to grasp that mind which wants to run, hide, strike out, cower in a corner, or do something totally unprecedented and violent. So it is bringing that wandering mind into the heart of the spirit in order to evoke more of a sense that spirit is my primary identity. We have had it in error for a long time, where I'm a mere mortal. What can a human do after all? No, I am a divine being, divinely designed to be the vehicle that expresses more of my humanity. For to be more human is to be more divine, and to be more divine is to be more human. And I'm no longer crossing a huge, seemingly uncrossable gap, but rather I am using my divine nature to come forth, to entrain my mind, to pause. And the way it's described with entrainment, when you and I are in meditation or prayer, and we somehow, you know, in the quiet and in the safety, ideally, of our own homes, it's far easier to become still and to give ourselves completely to a more loving presence, what Tara and many others just refer to now as presencing, being in the moment and being aware in the moment that I am of the very presence of God. The trick with entrainment is when you and I reach that moment, it's important to pause and entrain it. Let it gather momentum, treating our minds spiritually. Think about that. Get all excited. So, for example, I say to you, let's all affirm together, I am aware of God's presence now. Let's say that. I am aware of God's presence now, right here where I am. Right here where I am. But then we dash off. Okay, well, got to keep that appointment, or got to answer that little buzz that tells me, ooh, someone's looking for me, wanting to text me. We are asked, in order to entrain and let that feeling, that awareness of God's presence being here now, let it seep in, let it soak more deeply, so that rather than saying, I am aware of the divine presence right here where I am, and then rushing off, it's I allow the divine presence to remain more consistently where I am. And Tara has something that utilizes the physical senses when we're doing the mental work. Because after all, if you're a metaphysician and have studied science of mind and all of its related New Thought studies, we do have a sense of working with something very intangible, very invisible. I mean, you know, in the Eastern traditions, somehow all of the images, whether it's Hinduism and all of the gods that are described, it's still only one functioning as many, but still there's tangible evidence of Hanuman, the monkey, in Buddhism, in Hinduism. There is the guru, basically, in the Eastern traditions, where you can see someone. Yeah, I'd like a cushion. I want to be cross-legged and just sit with my robes. But somehow that does not always translate to someone getting the image, but it does it more than saying, within me there is God. I am of it, it is of me. And so entrainment is when I stay there. And so she takes her hand and she puts it over her heart, so that now she's literally feeling as you and I would feel. Put your hand over your heart. I mean, what's beating that heart? Are you and I doing anything? No, but we are certainly enhancing and bringing spirit into the oneness and the human into oneness with it, when with my hand on my heart I say, let's say it together, right where I am, God is, together. Right where I am, God is. So it's taking that pause that refreshes, and somehow that awareness will last more than it would ordinarily if I'm rushing and cutting it off. That's why even the sacredness of Eastern rituals are something that speak to my heart. I've shared that many years ago I spent 10 days at an ashram that teaches Siddha Yoga with a wonderful teacher called Guru Mai. And just the sacredness, you know, of taking off your shoes when you walk into the sanctuary, and you don't clap when someone gives a prayer, for heaven's sakes. You know, you really don't. You just savor it. Again, let it entrain. Let my mind be treated to the truth of its being. Let me savor the way you would savor. What do we do when we taste something delectable? We savor it. Usually we close our eyes. I always remember one of our teachers and one of the former presidents of Religious Science International, James Golden. And he would talk about his experience. He was a great Eastern teacher. In fact, the first time I went to that ashram, the first person I saw was my colleague, James Golden. We kind of like, almost like kids caught in the act. Should we be here? But I mean, his whole point was always in savoring that silence and capturing our own frailties and not being afraid of them, because part of entraining our own mind, it's getting on to your own craziness and not fighting it, but really looking at it so that it can be altered by the presence of love, by the presence of compassion. And the key to it all is living present moment awareness. Here we are. In this moment, in this room, what are you aware of? What am I aware of? I'm aware of being in a spiritual cocoon where we're all safe. Here, there's nothing happening in Texas or in Buffalo or in Afghanistan, in Ukraine, and in all the places that are fighting on earth. Everything is solid and stable. Where? Now. Where? How? Here. So if we were to capture some clue for our own everyday living by saying, where am I? I used to have a friend who would put a little sticker on her refrigerator, and before she would open it, the saying would come right at her, and it says, where are you now? You know, it's like I'm in front of my refrigerator. My mind isn't, oh my God, I've got to do that, or I've got to go here, or did I take care of that? Yesterday I had an experience, literally 2.5 hours with a technical expert from one of the Verizon, AOL, one of my people that my mail comes through. And he was so nice because I said, look, let me give you a heads up right now. Don't talk to me like the expert you are. Talk to me like a 3-year-old. So he said, I'll try, but I get that all the time. Okay, so we continued, and he had to do innumerable things. Time's marching on, and he says, how is your patience? I said, I'm doing okay. And we started talking, and he suddenly says to me while he's busy fiddling around, he says, why do you people have, he said, I don't want to be political or anything. He said, but may I tell you how we issue gun control measures here? And I said, yeah, I would like to know that. I said, first of all, what's the age of someone who's allowed to have a gun? I'm getting political here. So any of you carrying a gun today? No. Okay, then we're safe. But are you carrying the gun of resentment, of holding grudges? Are you holding the gun that still shoots off, whether there's a bullet and an instrument, that anger, that retaliation? So anyway, he says, well, actually 18 also. He said, but our restrictions, and that has to be done with a parent's consent. And he issued a whole list. He said, but, we're wandering off here. Let's get back to business. But then we come back, and he said, are you still working? What do you do? And, yeah, I'm a minister. He goes, oh, what kind of God do you talk about? So I said, the one that's inside as well as being everywhere else. And he told me, yeah, we're not quite that way. Then he says to me, what's the favorite drink of you Americans? I said, well, I don't know. I can only speak for myself. We're pretty much into wines. He said, oh, not us. Our number one drink is brandy. And so for 2.5 hours, I mean, literally, I got to know him. And he had the same name as my father, Bernard. And so that was not lost on that part of me that makes connections. But that's what happens when you and I train and in-train and end-train and connect consciously to the presence and power of the divine. It softens the rough edges. It causes not only the love that we essentially are and everyone else is, no matter who is on your quote-unquote mental hit list, they are still divine emanations of one presence and one power. And they are therefore our responsibility to see as awakened beings discovering more of their divinity. Because why? Because I am dedicating my life to my practices of seeing more of my divinity. And it's just the natural equivalent. If I can see more of God in me, I will see it in you. And that love connection will not be contained within me. It will have the capacity to be softer and kinder and more gentle and more generous and wiser. We've all been around enough to know there's a lot of wisdom within each of us. So what's the answer? The pathways to freedom can really be defined in 2 easy ways. Number 1 is stay in the present moment. Take those deep breaths when you find you're leaving yourself. You're going to that other place that's fractured and distracted and hurried and harassed and unsettled and anxious and scared and uncertain about our future. Let's just agree, we are uncertain about our future. But there's one guarantee, that it's all good and very good. And what is that? God, divine, eternal, changeless, permanent essence of our own nature and everyone else's. Wherever we've judged, we're judging ourselves. That's our self that we're looking at. beyond what we can see within us that we refuse to claim. So the kindness and the compassion and the generosity with which you and I navigate our life is to deepen our practices so that I will demand of myself, that higher self, that it rise and shine and take me to the way of living that goes beyond judging, hating, fearing experiences. It's here. It's now. We're all sitting on the cusp. I think often on this Memorial Day and many other days, and many of you know that my brother was killed in World War II. And, you know, all of these kids, because when I visited his cemetery in southern France, you could see from, you know, birth and when they were killed, they were kids. And that's happening now. Look at Ukraine, these feisty, determined, no matter what, we will claim freedom for ourselves, our country, and for the people who are watching. What can I do? Maybe that's the question of our lives these days. How can I make life more meaningful, not just for me, but for the world? How can I help, heal, support a greater idea? And so on the story goes, you know, and in all times people will say, oh, my generation, we had it far worse. No, I think we're hitting the all-time high. And so for that reason, the call is, what did Michelle Obama say? You know, when they go lower, we go higher. And what does that mean? It means that I teach myself the fine art of knowing that right where I am, God is, not just happenstance, unless I tend to treat it occasionally, but if I more consistently deeply dive into the conscious awareness of right here where I am, God is, I am, and all is well, then we're safe, we're secure, and we're creating a world truly that works better for one, for all, because it is the one as all, and so it is. Thank you, thank you. Alberto, come hither, maestro.
It's great to be in the presence of greatness this morning. All of you who have shared this morning, and Dr. Sue, you know, my teacher, my mentor, my heart. Yay! Thank you on this Memorial Day. I honor all, but, you know, I think of your brother, too. So, and just one other thing I want to say before we do the offertory is they now know physically that when you place your hand on your heart, it chemically raises your oxytocin levels, which connects you to the divine. So when you pray, and you pray with your hand on your heart, you instantly get there. So on this note, together, let us read our offertory. Divine love blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And so it is, and that's the way it is. And here are other ways you can give. And again, in these times coming out of the COVID, your donations are really, really important to keep this center alive in this unification. Oh, and do we have the other ways we can give? Okay, thanks. You can give through PayPal and Zelle. If you go on our website, and we can, and that's wonderful. Go to our website. And as I call Dr. Sue back up to give our closing prayer, I just want to thank everyone. Dr. Sue Rubin, Reverend Dr. Sue Rubin, and Alberto, behind the scenes, Marcia, Kathleen, Susan, Buzzy, Pamela Bailey, all of them. Thank you for making this. Oh, well, thank you. Your student.
Okay, so as we do our treatment, I treat in the I am, because that's the name that you are as the divine. So let's know these are your own words for yourself and for the one self of our planet. So right here and right now, I give thanks for being fully present right here and right now. Present to the awareness that wherever I am, God is, I am. I aming itself into fuller expression as love, kindness, generosity, that which represents the nature of that essence of myself, the essence of all. So I give thanks for all who have nobly served, many of whom giving their physical lives even as I speak. I know that there is a reason, a rhyme, a rhythm to the flow of life, just as the river flows out to the sea. I flow more deeply into the conscious recognition and unification of my being with its source energy. I practice the principle of truth, of living the presence of God, by giving up all anger and resentment and fear. To the very best of my ability, more and more, I know that the only given, the only absolute, the only certainty, permanence and changelessness is found in the nature of that supreme almighty. Call it Emmanuel, call it Abba, call it Buddha nature, call it God. It is the one showing up as the many, and I choose to be one of the many who discovers the greater capacity to see beyond appearances and to know what it means to truly live from the awareness, from the expression and the manifestation of being God in action. I am God's means to be fully alive uniquely as me, just as each one is divinely designed to be that one self, bringing each one's individualized gifts to the family of the earth. So I name it good and all good, seeing beyond every appearance to the grace, the goodness, the beauty, the love, the truth of God's ever-existent presence. And for this and so much more, I let love keep pointing my way to loving myself and the world more fully. And I let the law of the mind of each and every one bring about magnificence, transmutation, and transformation. It's a good day, a very good day. I so name it as I do every day. And for this and so much more than words can express, let us all declare, and so it is.
Please stay up there. By the way, the last time we did this, and I was going like this, I didn't get it until afterwards. You were going, that's a joke. And I didn't get it till I watched the video. And right here and right now, just on the count of three, call out anybody you think of today. 1, 2, 3, Bob Gagan. Anybody else? Anybody else in memory that you would like to call? Betty Ann, exactly. So holding all of those and the world in our hearts. So everybody come up. Pamela, Susan, Kathleen, come on up. We're going to say Buzzy. Yeah. Alberto. And as I always say, we're putting the microphone down. Are you the one that sings I Release and I Let Go?
I do.
Okay, well, we want you to do that on June 5th.
Oh, good. I'm glad it's not right now.
Where am I? You're going to do that right now, and then we'll do the peace song after. Ah, would be great. And
There you
anybody
go.
who knows- I heard you, Kristen said someone sings. Okay.
There was a time in my life I thought I had to do it all for myself. I didn't know the grace of God was sufficient. I didn't know the love of God was at hand. But now I can say, if you are discouraged, struggling just to make it through another day, you gotta let it go, let it all go. And this is what you have to say. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life. And my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggles, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. Okay.
Yeah. Now we will sing the peace song. Climactic, I think. Fabulous. Fabulous.
Wow, what a gift.
Yeah, Kristen. Yay. Yay.
I don't know why she's pointing at
By the way, Kristen's the one that said if we did it a cappella, they wouldn't pull it. So thank you. Okay, here we go.
We show up.
Shall we start? Where are we? There's not room for Alberto.
Right.
Thanks, Alberto. Come up. Come on. You can, yes.
To be God as creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Yes, peace begins with me, and this is the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow.